everybody, and this is ChasingCinema.com's official podcast. Thank you for joining us here. However, on the other side of the call, it is not Louis Corazzolo. Though I am Jacob Toronto, today I'm joined by a great guest that we've had on many, many times, a good friend of mine, James Shue. Sir, how are you?
What's happening?
We're excited to have you on. We're excited to talk about some big movies today. We're not going to be talking about anything really as much because I'm sure there's so much that me and James have to talk about. But before we get into that, sir, how are you? What is going on? What have you been busy doing?
2014 has been such a phenomenal year for film, and there's been so many great films. I can't wait for us to, as it comes closer to Christmas time, really start putting together our top 10 list for 2014 of all these amazing films that people have been putting together for us to enjoy and learn and get emotional about and be excited about. And it's just an awesome time for people who love film.
It really is. And, it's really funny as I was talking to a fellow critic the other day, and I was pointing out that how this year kind of started off really slow, and I wasn't very excited. And then all of a sudden, it's just great movie after great movie. I mean, I feel like I've been saying that this is one of my favorite movies of the year for the last, 3-4 movies. I mean, it's constantly just getting better and better. I am so surprised. I'm just excited to see as we get closer to that award season. Do you have a favorite for the year so far, or should we hold off on that comment?
I think we better hold off just because I don't know because I don't know actually just because I don't know. I mean, if I said something right now and then someone else said, "Oh, but you like this," I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I did like that." This is something I actually want to put thought into, not just go off the dome and.
Okay.
Yeah,
fair. But is there a movie that kind of you always go back to in your head? Like for me, it was Gone Girl for a while, but to be honest, I think the one movie that my main focus has been on, and like the one movie that I tell people about, is actually Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler has been my go-to. It hasn't left my mind since I've seen it. I've been thinking about it a lot the past week or two now, and I just can't get it out of my head. Is there one that you're like just totally concentrating on?
I understand what you're saying, but like when Gone Girl came out, I was like, wow, what an amazing film, blah, blah, blah. And then Nightcrawler came out, I said, wow, what an amazing film. And they just hit me in different ways because Gone Girl for me is a complete explanation for a lot of people in relationships. And I know that's very cynical, and it's actually kind of negative for me to portray and see it like that. But because, as you know, I'm in front of hundreds of people a day talking to people all the time. And, in my past business, I would be in front of maybe 1,000 people a week just talking to them about business, and I really get to know so many amazing people like you. And
well, thank you, sir.
There's a lot of people out there that are in relationships that they're just in it just because they're already in it, and they don't want to break it up because they're so used to the culture of norm. And Gone Girl is that movie. It's crazy because nobody in their right mind would want to be with either of those people.
Yeah.
And so there's that. And then Nightcrawler hit me in such a different way because Nightcrawler to me is what it takes to be successful. Please note, I do not mean murdering people. I do not mean setting up people to get murdered. I don't mean that. I'm talking about just the fundamentals of what he's doing is what it takes. You do need to be brash. You do need to be upfront. You do need to talk to people like how he was talking to Rene Russo. And I'm not saying to sleep with someone. I'm just saying that that's what it takes. If you want, I'm not talking about making a couple dollars. I'm talking about if you want to be at the level he wanted to be at, and then at the ending, spoiler alert, I suppose, at the end of it, he gets his own trucks. That is what it takes to be a quote unquote boss. The big boss is you got to get aggressive, and you have to be okay with that type of aggressiveness. And please note again, I'm not meaning the sleeping with people. I'm not talking about the murdering people. I'm talking about have that type of success. I agree with it. It hit me hard.
I hear you, sir. I mean, it hit me hard as well, and it is a wonderful movie, and it was one that I actually wanted to go see again. I haven't had a chance to. It's been
we should go together.
We should. I would love to, and I also want to go see Nightcrawler again. However, I know James has taken a good amount of this weekend watching the two movies we're going to be talking about today, which is Big Hero 6 and Interstellar. However, though I saw both those films, I took kind of a different route, and I actually tracked down the film Birdman, which has been a really, really big movie as far as award talk and Oscar buzz, and everyone is talking about Birdman. Just released in Vegas, but it's very, very limited. I think there's only like 3 or 4 theaters playing it, so it's not like a huge find. However, the theaters that I was in was pretty busy. So I just want to talk about that really quickly. I'll be publishing a review, but later we're going to be doing like an Oscar week where we're just going to be publishing reviews of the movies that are probably going to be most talked about for the Oscars. And okay, so the major focus of Birdman is Michael Keaton, and the fact that Michael Keaton will probably earn an Oscar nom for this performance. Now, I totally see that. I totally understand how that is being talked about. Zach Galifianakis actually does a wonderful job as his agent/manager. Edward Norton has a really good performance in the film. However, to me, I spoke with a lot of critics, and everyone really, really loves the movie. I believe it's like a 93 or 94, even 95 maybe on Rotten Tomatoes. However, for me, the only thing is, as much as I enjoyed what I was watching, I saw great elements of filmmaking. I just couldn't get connected to the movie. I had real trouble letting it lock on to me and just become something that I really, really enjoyed. So, I mean, it was kind of tough for me to watch this movie that everyone was like, oh, this is it, guys. This is it. This is it. You know, you need to see it. And then me just kind of being like, well, that was a little bit underwhelming. I just found a little bit hard to find reason to love it when there's so many great movies that I've seen that are, especially even, you know, wide released and way bigger box office and budget wise. Those movies connected to me more. Nightcrawler connected to me. Gone Girl connected to me. These movies really, really hit home with me. And Birdman, though, like I said, has elements that you could just notice. Being someone who appreciates film, anyone who appreciates film can notice the great elements of filmmaking in that picture. But opposed to a lot of critics and a lot of close friends, that movie didn't touch me or connect me as a member watching it. I felt like I was just out of the loop the entire time. So I'll be writing a more full review on that later in the year when the Oscars come around. But I just wanted to talk about that briefly.
You know, you sound like someone, which I think, I know we'll talk about this later, but you sound like someone right now that was disappointed with Interstellar because there's so many Nolanites that in Nolan we trust. Anything Nolan does is going to be gold. That your expectations is so high because Birdman, everyone said it's so great that the only place you can go when you're on top of the roof of the building is down. It sounds like that. I haven't seen it myself, but I'm excited to watch it, and I'll let you know what I think of that too.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know one of the biggest things that I've always looked for in movies is that emotional connection. As many movies as we watch, you know, a big thing to me is, am I connected? Am I invested? And that's not what I felt in Birdman. But I mean, in a lot of movies that I love, bad as they are, if I felt that my emotion is on the line, if I felt that my feelings are invested in a character, that makes that movie way more important. Moving on, me and Chapes are just going to dabble into a little bit of movie news. And then we're going to hop right into talking about Big Hero 6 and Interstellar, because I'm sure we both have a lot to say. James, sir, I know you are a busy man. We all know you do a lot of things, but were you ever a gamer?
What do you call a gamer, I guess? Okay.
Like, are you someone that plays maybe computer games, video games? Are you a gamer in any sense of the word? I am not. I play maybe 3 games in, like, the past 10 years.
When I was younger, up until like 19, all I did was play Nintendo. I never owned like Sony PlayStation or Xbox, or those didn't even exist when I was 19. But yeah, I've only played Nintendo. I love Nintendo. I'm in love with Mario. Even to this day, me and my girlfriend Ashley, we still play. We just got a Nintendo Wii, or we didn't just, but we got a Nintendo Wii, and we play Super Mario Brothers or Donkey Kong, and just those traditional 2D scroller games. I love Zelda. I just don't have the time for it anymore. I love my buddy Carl, who's my partner in my other company. He loves video games, so I enjoy watching him play like Final Fantasy, because I think the graphics in this, I mean, they look like movies nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. And though I'm not a gamer, although I do dabble in some Mario, well, one of the biggest things that everyone is talking about this week is the fact that World of Warcraft, you know, is getting the adaptation, and who's directing it. Now, there's been talks for a World of Warcraft film for quite some time, but
Yes.
now it is set for March 2016, and we also have director Duncan Jones attached to it. He did Moon with Sam Rockwell, which I actually saw at I can't even remember the title. The small festival out here in Las Vegas, I saw it with a Q&A after. Then he made Source Code, which was also a movie that I really enjoyed. Now he has Warcraft. So, sir, what are your expectations out of this movie? What do you think's going to what are your thoughts on this?
You know, me and you had a 2-hour conversation about comic book movies and the uprise and how long it'll last, the bubble will burst. And video game adaptations have never been able to hit a home run, quote unquote. We have Super Mario Brothers, which I think Nintendo up to this point is completely embarrassed about and just will not. They feel, okay, we're not doing great on selling games, and we're definitely not going to bankrupt ourselves in doing another one of those. And Mortal Kombat, I think, was fun, but it isn't what quote unquote Christopher Nolan did to comic book movies. It wasn't what Spider-Man 1 was. It wasn't what X-Men 1 was, what it did in this influx of now today. There's so many comic book movies that exist. So anyways, what am I expecting about this? Everyone's saying that with the scriptwriters that we have, we're getting talent from screenwriters that aren't just the traditional hokey pokey, la da 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 da, that we have these amazing screenwriters, we have these amazing directors, we have people who are taking these video game storylines. And I guess another problem with video games too is they don't have a lot of storyline typically. There isn't a good story to put with it. But with Warcraft and like 100 million people that are in love with this game, from what people say, it looks like that we could have it looks like a very, from those screenshots that I saw, it looks very Lord of the Rings type of
Peter
epic
Jackson,
film.
yeah.
Peter Jackson's a better word. Looks like we could be getting something like that, and if that's the case, it could be a home run, right?
I mean, absolutely. Anything there is a huge fandom for that type of era, and that, the whole Dungeons and Dragons, if you will, that might be a really outdated reference, but the whole, like you said, the whole Peter Jackson type world where there are characters, and as you said, there are a insane amount of people who play this game. And I mean, I heard about it through my friends who played, and I know people are crazy addicted to this game, so I'm sure this movie has a lot of people to impress, though, because, the one thing that we've learned is that, as you said, most video games don't always hit out of the park, and most people who play video games aren't always happy with the result of a video game movie. Now, I don't know anything about World of Warcraft. Like, what I know is that it's an RPG, and I know you could play different characters, but to me, watching that movie, just knowing it was a video game, but besides that, to me, it's a total... how the script is written, how, the Duncan Jones, who, by his filmography, I'm a fan of. So to me, I really can't to stake myself too much, but if I have faith in Duncan Jones, and I think that with something as this free in imagination, and I've seen where some of his imaginative has gone, I think he could really hit it out of the park. But unfortunately, the main audience he's going to be targeting is people who have played it and dedicated years of their life. I mean, I hear people dedicate 4 or 5 years to build a character up. I mean, those are the people that he really needs to kind of connect with, and I hope he does so. Moving on. So it was also released this week that John Lasseter of Disney and Pixar is going to be returning with Tom Hanks and Tim Allen for Toy Story 4 in 2017. This was released about 4 or 5 days ago, and we are bringing back most of the same characters. It'll be in 3D. What did you hear? What did you think when you heard this?
I'm surprised it wasn't sooner, just to be honest with you. Depending on who you ask, if you talk to most people, what's top 3, top 5 greatest trilogies of all time? As long as they don't forget, Toy Story should be in there. That is a complete film. That movie will make you cry, laugh, happy, sad, any emotion, inside out, quote unquote. But any emotion that you want out of a human being, just watch Toy Story 1, 2, 3. You will get all of that. So I am very excited that they're bringing it back. I'm very excited that John Lasseter, who is the mastermind currently right now with Disney, who overruns the Pixar and Disney animation and the Marvel animation, who runs that whole show over there. I mean, I love this new Disney renaissance. We had the 90s, and then it faded out for a while during a couple of the mishaps that they had, Treasure Planet, and then after that they had the one that was in Louisiana. I forgot. I can't even remember the name. That's how bad it was. It wasn't bad. It just didn't do well. Yeah. But now we've had Frozen. I don't care what anyone says. $1 billion later. Obviously, people liked it.
Yeah.
Wreck-It Ralph. Awesome. These Pixar films that are coming out. We'll talk about Big Hero 6, obviously. I mean, I just love what they're doing right now, and these are characters that now I don't remember exactly how many years later. Do you know how many years has it been since part 1? Do you know, Chasing?
I want to say 96 was Toy Story 1. I know it was fairly early, so I want to say 96, 98 maybe. But yeah, so it has to be. It's almost 95. So I was in between. It was a 99 film, so nearly a decade later.
So
or 20 years later. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it's exciting because it's been 10. It's been at least 15 years, and now a new generation of young kids are going to meet Woody and Buzz, and I know we're going to have all our favorite characters, and I'm sure Barbie and Ken, and maybe they'll license out because Barbie and Ken's not Disney, so they license that out. Maybe they'll get another one, and
maybe we'll see some Superman or not Superman toys, but maybe we'll see some Spider-Man toys. Yeah,
absolutely.
Spider-Man or Captain America toys. I think that'd be really smart.
I love it, dude.
I think to me, as James said, those are characters that we have grown up loving. Though Toy Story, Woody and Buzz have been toys that we grew up with. I mean, they are literally someone that have seen our childhood, and I think that's why the trilogy works so much, especially for me, just because I was graduating high school the year that I saw Toy Story 3, the year that Andy went off to college, and to me, the only thing I have to say about this, and necessarily in a kind of worried way, granted, I think the movie's going to do great. I think it'll be great. I don't necessarily have doubts about about this movie. But just to me, I think 3 ended perfectly. That's the only thing is I hope, I think 3 ended perfectly. I think it was a perfect way to go out. I was so happy with how everything concluded. So I'm really interested to see where they go now with this story and kind of see what's to come of, because I think the trilogy, as you called it, because me and Louis even had a conversation way early when we started this podcast, and we were arguing if the Dark Knight trilogy will be as, which people will be able to remember more, Toy Story trilogy or this trilogy. So that's how powerful this trilogy really is. I mean, it might just be, as you said, they might slip their mind when thinking about trilogies, but it really is one of those trilogies you can't deny how great they are. My only thing is, they closed it so well. How are they going to reopen it and kind of bring it to a close again?
Well, this one starts with the new girl now, and John Lasseter said this will be a love story this time. And he said that the story that they have put together was something that they tinkered with, and it's just it's the story. So, I mean, he's obviously going to say this for PR's sake, but it's a love story this time, and it's not going to be with Andy. It's going to be with the new girl that is now the host of these. You know what was a really good theory? And this, keep in mind, what I'm about to say may not even exist in the movie, but you know what was really good, Chasing? Was that as this new girl grows up, she doesn't even care about toys, because we have iPads, we have phones, we have these video games, and toys are like, wow, no one even plays with us anymore.
Yeah, especially with the toy with the drawstring back. I mean, that's like probably not even understood by kids nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, that premise alone, even though that may not even be the premise because I was just reading online, if it has anything like that already resonates with me, because that's the kids today, they don't even understand, like you said, the drawstring and wait, you have to hold a toy? It doesn't. What do you mean? You don't download?
Yeah, I know, and that's actually a really good point. I haven't read much about the plot and like that. You have, but to even hear that theory, I think that is genius. I think if they went that route, there would be really wonderful. Like, I think that'd be perfect. I think that it would have a great statement to make. So I hope that they do fall through that, because that is so true. Now that I think about it. To me, I don't see kids with. I mean, maybe a few action figures, but not toys with drawstring backs, or I don't know. I mean, that kind of. I mean, what 4-year-old doesn't have an iPad nowadays? What kid isn't playing a video game that on whatever system that they're playing to keep them occupied rather than a bunch of toys? So I think that's especially like a piggy bank. Like the fact that Andy played with a piggy bank must be surreal to kids, let alone even know what a piggy bank is. So I'm very interested to see where that goes. I think that's a really good route for them to take, and I'm actually glad you brought that up, because I think that's so awesome.
Yeah, it's come on, who has stuffed animals?
No, it's so true.
Why would you have a stuffed animal?
Yeah, it is really true. I mean, and plus all of our action figures now have all these features, and there's even toys now that you could connect to your computer or your game systems and play with them in a virtual world. I mean, it's really insane. So I mean, to see those kind of toys come alive and kind of see the difference, I think that'd be a really, really wonderful way for Pixar and Marvel to go. Well, Pixar and Disney, I'm sorry.
Love it.
Moving on, last bit of movie news we're going to talk about today before we get in the big conversation of Interstellar and Big Hero 6 is more of a rumor. It's not necessarily confirmed what's going on, but the fact that Jared Leto, who won the Academy Award last year for his performance in Dallas Buyers Club, is being eyed for the new Joker in Suicide Squad. So, hearing this, what are your thoughts? Because me and Louis had a conversation when Dark Knight Rises came out, and we said, if you had to cast this movie again, or if you had to cast a new Batman movie, who would you put as the Joker? And to be honest, Jared Leto wasn't my pick, but now, if I went back and probably thought about it, it's not a bad pick. So what are your thoughts on this?
You know, I don't really have negative thoughts anymore on casting in general anymore, only because let the girl do their thing. It's that they get paid for a reason, and that, you know, I mean,
Ben Affleck,
yeah,
everybody,
let people do the now. Yeah, if Ben Affleck does a horrible job as Batman, okay, bring it on, internet trolls, and let's destroy him. But until that happens,
give him a shot.
Yeah, let's see what he does. So people say Jared Leto is. I mean, the guy won an Oscar for
Dallas Buyers Club.
Thank you, Dallas Buyers Club. So what are we gonna say? Oh, he's not a qualified actor. I mean, come on. He is an Oscar. That's another thing about these superhero movies. These aren't just random people. These are nowadays Marvel and Sony and Fox and DC and Warner Brothers. They are going after people. Michael Douglas's. You're going after
Robert Redford's.
Or Robert Redford's. These are people. If you would have said to him during this age of Batman and Robin, "Hey, do you want to be in a superhero movie?" You couldn't even get a hold of their agent to even mention that, to get to them, for them to laugh. And nowadays you have these Oscar. Yeah, I think it's why not? And hey, Jared Leto's a little younger, or he looks. How old is he? Do you know, Chasing?
Not off the top of my head, but I want to say he's probably mid-30s, mid to early 30s. So
I think that's great. He could be our Joker for, I mean, if he wanted 10, 15 years, if he wanted, throwing a Harley Quinn in there.
He's actually 42. Squad. He looks really good for his
wow,
age.
He looks okay. Well, that's the all that juice they be drinking. Okay, well, yeah. I mean, regardless, 42 to 52, 10 years throwing a Harley Quinn in there, Suicide Squad. Let's get a good screenplay, right? Let's get a good story together. Heck, I'm all in, man. Count me in. Full house.
But if you didn't have Jared Leto as a choice, who would you cast as the Joker right now?
I'm not even good at. I'm not good at.
I don't blame you. It took me about a week and a half to really think about who I think. And my choice is an actor that I've always really loved and kind of thought he always got the side roles, and he's very much a character actor, and he's never really been able to just hand it a role that he could really run with. And that's Giovanni Ribisi, who was in Ted. He plays the villain in Ted, who kidnapped. Man. Yeah, very creepy. He was in a bunch of other. I mean, he was in the Boiler Room. He was in Avatar. Kind of always on the bad side of things, but I think he would have played a great Joker. However, when I heard this, I said, oh, wow, why didn't I think about this? Because, you know, with Jared Leto playing, you know, in films like Requiem for a Dream, he definitely could go into a dark area. We know that. And with his phenomenal performance in Dallas Buyers Club, as you said, you know, how can we say this man's not a qualified actor to do this? I mean, his range is insane. I think that he could really, really be a good Joker. The only question is the shadow of Heath Ledger so big that he's not going to be able to live up to that hype? What do you think?
You know, bring on a wonderful script. Just let the man do his thing, and people will love his version of Joker. It's hard to even compete against someone, you know, and this is not to take, I don't want anyone to hate on Chasing because he invited me on this phone call for what I'm about to say, but one of the reasons why it was even so good is because it was Heath Ledger passed away, unfortunately. And people may not want to admit it, but that definitely is a reason why people even love The Dark Knight. Keep in mind, I love Dark Knight. There's nothing I don't like about Dark Knight. I'm just saying that was a reason. That was another reason why the movie did so well and why that happened. I'm not saying he wouldn't have got nominated regardless. I'm just saying that.
You're saying is that his passing, you know, really had people. You know, what James is saying isn't wrong. If you're listening to us and thinking what James is saying is wrong, it's totally not true, because people for. A great parallel, which also we could talk about kind of, is the Fast and Furious, Furious 7 trailer dropped. And granted, people are going to go see that movie regardless, just as they went and saw Dark Knight. You know, people are going to love that movie, but there's something about when an actor passes that causes people to go more. So to say that that's wrong is just not correct. I mean, it is a huge, as sad as it is, and we're not saying that, and we're not saying that studios say, oh, this actor's passed away, you know, we're going to use that to buy tickets. It does really enhance film's PR. It does, because it's talked about 10 times more because of that actor's, you know, I mean, for that whole, was it summer? Or was it before summer when he passed away? I want to say
it came out. The movie Dark Knight came out in July. So
no. I meant Furious 7. Paul Walker.
Yeah. See, the difference between him and Heath Ledger too, though, real quick, is Heath Ledger passed away, and then a couple months later, the movie came out.
Yes.
And then this one, there's a huge gap. So what I'm trying to say too is that people who already like Paul Walker or Fast and Furious are already going to watch the movie, and we're already going to enjoy it. But because this is his last film, we're going to hear more stuff like, wow, how amazing was he? Not to say he's not amazing, just to say it's even more because he passed away.
You can't really disagree with that. And the fact, okay, so I just, in November, he passed away last November. So a year, he's going on a year of Paul Walker passing away.
What the heck?
But Fast and Furious 7 has been a huge focus now, rather than just having a trailer dropping right around this time and us waiting for it. It's been a focus for a whole year more because of the unfortunate passing of Paul Walker. You know, people are talking about who's going to replace him. Are they going to keep doing it? How's the cast doing? What are the castings? Unfortunately, it is terrible, terrible news, and I will never take that away. I will never say, as me and James are definitely pointing out, we're not going to say an actor is only credited because of their death, because that's not true. However, to say that PR isn't tripled, if not, quadrupled because of something like this, it's insane. Fast and Furious 7 was one of the most talked about movies last year, and we just got a trailer a year after his passing, and because of that. So people are not going to stop talking about this movie. And though it is different than Heath Ledger, people wanted to see the Joker, and people were so excited. I mean, that's just kind of things that drives people to the theater. So my thing would be Jared Leto's best thing would do is to go far away from Heath Ledger's Joker as possible, maybe go a little bit more towards the old school Jack Nicholson or cartoon Joker, or create his own. But I mean, it's going to be very hard, and people are definitely going to be saying, the number one comparison he's going to get is, was he better than Heath Ledger? Just as everyone said, was Heath Ledger better than Jack Nicholson before the passing? I mean, it's going to be a talk, but I honestly think this actor of this caliber can do it, especially now when he is actually really coming into his own and getting at his height.
Yeah, Heath Ledger's Joker was all brilliant and smart. Not to say that's not what Joker should be, because the way they did that was just obviously brilliant and very smart. But like you just said, Batman the Animated Series, that boy is just insane.
Yeah.
So if he wanted to do that, which it seems like that's where DC's doing anyways with the Dark Knight Returns, Ben Affleck's suit, the way they're going to be doing it. Supposedly, Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne is going to be a very playboy character like he was in the animated series. I'm loving that. So if you give me an insane Joker, let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And luckily, the world of comics and graphic novels and animation has given us so many different styles of these characters that Jared Leto could easily find one different than Heath Ledger's version and still find a great Joker and still create a phenomenal, memorable performance. So I'm glad we got to talk about that. But the big conversation is what's coming out this week. Before we hop into this, really quick, were you surprised at have you checked the box office numbers, sir?
Yeah, Big Hero 6, $56 million, and then Interstellar, $50 million.
Were you surprised by that?
No, I just think that, and who am I, but I really just think that Disney in general, they know how to get families to come out. They know how to do that. I think it's proven over and over again. If you compare them to DreamWorks, if you compare them to any of the other animated studios, there's the Minions, yes, there's How to Train Your Dragon, but other than those two, it is all Disney. Yeah. Whether we're talking subsidiaries of animation or whether we're talking Disney Pixar, whatever we're talking about, it's at the end of the day, it's still the Mouse House, and they know how to produce film right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I did expect, Interstellar, because it was one of the most anticipated films of the year, to lead, but I mean, it's not by a huge margin though. It's not like Interstellar got drowned out, by any means. So I mean, So, but I was still kind of like, oh wow, like Big Hero 6 beat out Interstellar. That, to me, is kind of shocking. However, I think Interstellar will do better in time than Big Hero 6, possibly. If you don't count like toys and all that stuff. Like, I just feel like more people are going to go to Interstellar because word of mouth and how much people are talking about it. Though Big Hero 6 might get some word of mouth too. So as we talk about that, let's get into Big Hero 6. Big Hero 6 is the first Disney animated Marvel-based film, which is based off a group of superheroes that came out in like the late 90s. I want to say 1998. And it's a bunch of misfit kids, if you will, who create a team of superheroes. So, sir, what was your impression of Big Hero 6? Did you like it? Was it great? How did you feel about it?
All right, first thing I'm going to say is I loved Big Hero 6. But then the latter of what I'm going to say is I don't think I liked it better than Frozen, Wreck-It Ralph. But that, and I don't want someone to hear this and say, oh, okay, so the movie sucked.
Yeah.
For me to say, okay, these are just awesome movies. Like, okay, Big Hero 6 is awesome. I know we'll talk more about it, but just overall impression of Big Hero 6, it's fun. I thought the cinematography, when it reminded me a lot of How to Train Your Dragon, when when we're on Toothless and we're going through the sky and Hiro Hamada is on Baymax.
Absolutely.
That scene, beautiful, awesome. It makes you just kind of wonder if you had a choice whether you could own a Toothless or if you could own a Baymax, which one would you want? It's just awesome. So there's that part. It's just a great film. I think the messages behind it. I liked how the movie really, really hammered nerds. It's cool. Science is cool. Learning is cool. I like that because, hopefully it influences kids to want to be smarter and not be idiots and do things with their lives. I enjoyed that. And are we going to talk about? Yeah, we can talk about spoilers.
Yeah. Oh well, we'll do an introduction where we talk about what we thought, and then we'll go into spoilers. So are you done without spoilers?
Overall, I think Baymax stole the show. I think people are going to want a Baymax. I think we're going to wonder when can we have real Baymaxes.
Oh yeah.
And it's a fun film. I love. We'll talk about after this. After Chasing does his part, we'll talk about characters, and then we'll talk about spoilers. So overall, thumbs up, brother.
Yeah, I am not in disagreement at all with James. I was thoroughly just big smiled, happy, giggly throughout this film. I mean, as amazing as movies have been these past couple of weeks, most of them have not tackled really happy, fun topics. I mean, we have Nightcrawler, we have Gone Girl, we have Fury. I mean, it's kind of been a very, very serious, dramatic world in the world of cinema. And the night before I saw Big Hero 6, I saw Interstellar in the press screening. So I was constantly thrown into emotion and seriousness. So I watched Big Hero 6 like a 7-year-old, just happy and giddy, and really got into it. I think this movie was something, the animation that James pointed out was phenomenal. And it's so great that he pointed that out because it is such a parallel scene to Hiccup riding Toothless when Hero is riding Baymax. And Baymax is just adorable. He is such a gentle giant that everyone's just going to fall in love with. As you said, Baymax is probably going to be one of the hottest toys this Christmas and this holiday.
100%.
I'm sure. I'm excited to see what kind of versions of Baymax they're going to have, if action figures. But I mean, I want to see like a life-size Baymax and see what we could really do with it. But I thought the movie was very fun. I thought it was a great way to kind of, to me, it more excited me the fact that Disney and Marvel can say, let's try to do some animated pictures. And though they might not take a huge title to an animation, because Big Hero 6 probably isn't the most, household name. Most people didn't know it was necessarily.
It's like Guardians of the Galaxy, same thing.
Yeah. I think, but I would even think Guardians of the Galaxy have a little bit more of an edge on Big Hero 6. I think that it really excites me that maybe they might do some more unpopular comic book movies in animation and really give them, and also maybe because this movie is definitely more of a kid's title and directed towards kids, but I would be so excited to see a superhero movie animated that isn't necessarily just for kids, and it could be a PG-13 movie. I think to that, opening that door, similar to Star Wars, I think me and you even talked about this, the fact that Star Wars can now make, well, Disney can make Star Wars animated films, I think is a great way to go because, I mean, with the animation that we're seeing in this year alone, it's unbelievable. And those would be really, really great movies, I think. And to me, that excites me. But Big Hero 6, fun, exciting, and just enjoyable. It has it's just so genuine. It has such a warm heart. Excuse me. That it's hard not to enjoy this movie. My only kind of thing is going along with James is I don't think, though there is some really serious moments in this movie, there are some real serious emotional moments, I don't think it has the emotional depth or connection that Frozen or Wreck-It Ralph offered. I think that's my stay. And as James said, I don't want you to think that I'm saying, oh, Big Hero 6 isn't as good. I mean, Big Hero 6 is good, but it doesn't challenge, I think, as many people as those films did, because there are some moments in Wreck-It Ralph and Frozen that I could really talk about and say how they really are deep. But overall, I love Big Hero 6. So you say you want to talk about the characters, or did you want to talk about? Yeah. Do you want to do spoiler alert?
I think what Chasing. Let's do both. So let's talk a little about the characters, and I'll lead us in this, and then we'll go not character by character, but so spoilers / we're gonna go through characters.
All right,
so,
spoiler alert.
Yes, so spoiler alert. If you don't like spoilers, put pause on this, favorite this, and then watch the movie and then come back. Yes. Okay. Let's first talk about Hiro Hamada. I bought into that. I bought into it. He's smart, and he was underground with his little what was that Hugh Jackman robot movie?
Real Steel.
Yeah, it reminded me of Real Steel. And that's cool. I totally bought into Hiro Hamada as a character. I liked it. He was smart and witty and fun. Your thoughts on Hiro?
Well, I thought that part too really kind of stood out to me because when you're first introduced to the story, Hiro seems really kind of, really naive, and he's like, oh, my toy could win. And then his, what happens, he kind of seems like that child who doesn't believe in himself. And to me, I was like, well, that's fine but most stories revolve around that character. However, we get the total opposite and find out Hiro's kind of cocky and a little bit arrogant, and I really kind of like that he's like school isn't for me. I'm gonna go to these underground fights, real steel fights, not necessarily for him, but I really like that our main character was kind of cocky and different rather than the most kid that doesn't believe in himself. I really, really enjoyed that aspect of his character.
Love it. Let's talk a little bit about Baymax. They just released that they sold 3 million Elsa costumes and 5 million Spider-Man, something like that. Wow. So and it kind of piggybacks on what you said. Baymax, everyone will love Baymax. If I see an official Big Hero 6 Baymax that's life size, I'm buying it.
I would own one too, in a heartbeat.
Yeah, Baymax is awesome, and I love how he cannot shut down until he asks you or you command him. I am satisfied with my service. The ending, spoilers. Keep in mind, we're doing
spoiler alert.
That ending where they brought him in. It's funny because they did like Interstellar type, where they're in another dimension. Anyway, we'll talk about Interstellar later. That scene where Baymax is there and he has to sacrifice him. I didn't see that because I thought that we were gonna. I thought, and this might have been stupid maybe, but I thought, okay, we're gonna poke holes into Baymax and release air so they can float back. I thought that's what they were gonna do.
Oh, it's actually pretty. It's a good question.
Because you know how he kept on leaking air?
Inflating, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, okay, so Hiro, stab him. Or that sounds wrong, but poke holes in him and then release and I'll push him out. You don't need to kill him. Because I in my head, I'm thinking, okay, you'll never kill him because that would be stupid. That'd be the dumbest thing. And then, the whole card thing, I like it.
Yeah.
I like all of that. So Baymax, thumbs up. Chasing.
I was really surprised on on how they did it, but in the very beginning, when Baymax tells him, or when Tadashi, his brother, is saying, you have to tell him you're good with this service for him to kind of stop. I knew that was going to come majorly into play. And as we learned in a lot of kids' movies, kids who get imaginary friends that are real, actually, or animals or creatures, it always comes to the point where they usually have to let them go. So to me, that wasn't necessarily shocking, but I think that way that they did it was really beautiful. In that scene when he just, he looks, and another thing I was really afraid of, that he was just going to shut off when he said, I'm happy with my service. But however, he gets a blink, he looks at him and he gives him this look, even though he has no eyes really, he just has black line and dots. He lets go of his arm and he just kind of floats back, looks at it. And there's a really beautiful moment and Hero and him have. And I think this is one of the best moments of the film, obviously because I'm a real sap and stuff like that just makes me want to weep because it's beautiful. But I really love the whole the memory card or whatever you'd like to call it that kind of kept his personality. That was really beautiful, and how the end he kind of just he introduced himself like he wasn't the same Baymax, and then just kind of hugged him, and I thought that was really special. But I mean, to go back to just Baymax as a character, yeah, this character is a newer version of an Iron Giant. I mean, he is everyone loves him. He's huge heart, so gentle. I mean, it's hard not to like.
Yes. All right, let's talk a little about Tadashi Hamada. I didn't like. Okay, this is my negative part about the film, I guess. I don't see the point of killing him. I mean, I understand that we need a draw in, we need these guys to be all motivated, and we need the brother motivated to do it. But I don't know. I didn't think that was necessary to kill him. And man, I didn't like it. Maybe because I didn't like it because I liked him as a character. Is what I'm trying to say too. I didn't need him to die, but. Yeah, I mean, I don't see why we had to have him die.
Well,
but
it's, kind of, to me, it kind of goes back to where in these stories, our character kind of has to find their own way. So it's usually rare that we have a movie where a character needs to find their way and we have a good guide telling him what to do. So I assume that part was going to eventually be lost. However, I will say where James kind of thought one way, I honestly thought that maybe, though I did kind of convince myself that I was a bit too extreme or a bit too cynical, that the villain of the film was going to be Tadashi. Because we knew it wasn't going to be the main villain that we thought it was going to be. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But we knew it wasn't going to be, this, I believe it's, Robert Callahan, I think was the name of the... Alistair. We knew it wasn't going to be Alistair because it's just too convenient. And he wears a mask. So it must be some sort of like a reveal that's going to happen. And when he knocks that mask off, for 1 second, I thought it might be Tadashi. And I thought that would have been insane. However, I was like, that's kind of too insane for a kid movie. So that was my thing. But I thought Tadashi was a great character.
Yes. And then let's talk a little about Fred. His costume was interesting, and he's so stupid. Spoiler: his dad is Stanley.
Yeah,
and then so brilliant. Loved it. And I liked him as a character. I don't really have too much to say on it. But I can say that he was a good supporting character.
Yeah, no, I think one of my biggest laughs in the movie is when it's at the very end of the film when Hero's like, "Hey guys, you need to use your brains. You're smart. Think about a way you got a situation." And at this point, Fred, his arms and legs are being stretched. He's like, "Oh, wait a minute, I'm in a suit." And I thought that was just great comedy. But all of these characters are really, really special. I mean, I thought about it, and I wrote them in my review. I think one of the best things are all these characters, and Fred was included in my list.
I love. Let's talk about Gogo Tamago. Her outfit, like rollerblades on wheels or scissors.
Yeah.
Loved her, and I like how she's all aggressive, and I like how she's not the afraid one. She's like, "Let's go, 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 go."
Yeah.
I like that. So good job, Jamie Chung.
She was very cool, and you know what? Like, she was the one character that I was like, "Wow!" Like she was just awesome. I think, Fred obviously was more of a comedic superhero. Wasabi was kind of cool. We'll get into that. And Honey Lemon was kind of cool. But I thought Gogo was like the coolest superhero of all of them. I was like, wow, she is the coolest thing. Like, that is the coolest setup I've seen.
Let's talk about Wasabi. Damon Wayans. Yeah, I liked him.
I liked him in this too. I thought it was very, very good for him to kind of just take a step back from the stuff that he's usually doing and do this kind of role. And I thought he was hilarious, especially early on when we were introduced to him. And he's like, "I only spilled wasabi on me one time." And just his kind of overall, I thought his character had a lot of heart. And there's a lot of really great moments of him. And he just seems, I thought out of all of them, he really had a real beautiful way of showing emotion. Well, his character, through voice and through, and how they animated his face and things like that. Like the moment he says Baymax, when Hero gets out of the portal, there was like that, oh man, like he knows, and you could just feel like his heart drop. And I thought that was really special.
Yeah, I liked it too when they're all on Baymax for the first time flying. He's the only one that's behind his legs, scared.
Yeah,
because that's how you would be if you were freaking
absolutely.
flying through San Francisco. Sorry, Honey Lemon. Honey Lemon was very cool.
Honey Lemon was cool.
I like it. She's smart.
Very smart. And a very cool, like a very odd superpower, but I could totally see how it's awesome. I mean, the whole time I was like, man, like I wonder what her limit is of like what she could do with these just whatever they are. I mean, it was really kind of a cool thing. So I definitely enjoyed her. But Go-Go was probably my favorite, like I said, my favorite hero. But there's no beating Baymax.
No, Professor Robert Callahan. This is where, again, I'm going to get negative on you. We hear about him. He's this awesome guy. He loves kids. He wants the kids to get smart, scholarships, go to a school, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden he's the bad guy. And then it's like, and then he's trying to kill the kids that he loves. Weird, yeah. I thought. I mean, I don't know.
I think
did that make sense? Chasing?
I wouldn't say it didn't. I mean, I think the way they approached it was, like he lost it. Obviously, vengeance was burning in his soul, and he would do anything to kind of avenge himself. But I agree with you. I think it was a bit extreme that he was going out of his way to kind of kill, yeah, kill or at least hurt these kids rather than just kind of make sure they stay out of it. There wasn't. There was never that moment where he says, "This isn't between us, stay out of it."
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So it wasn't like he even warned them, but at the same time, I felt that they wanted you to lead to believe that this one character was it. So they couldn't necessarily say that because maybe the villain they wanted you to look at, I believe Alistair was his name, wouldn't say that. So I don't know. I thought to me it was more for the twist rather than anything, more that kind of reveal. But I will say that, since we're talking about this character, he had one of the coolest yet simple villain get-ups in forever. I thought he was so awesome. I mean, the use of it, what he had as far as microbots. Thank you. I thought that was really cool, but I thought his whole mask and his trench coat was just awesome. I thought he just looked really, really cool. I was obsessed with how cool he looked, and it was just really not that much. It was just a trench coat, black gloves, and a mask. But I thought he just really pulled it off.
I love it. All right, well, let's do closing thoughts on Big Hero 6.
I think Big Hero 6 is a movie that everyone should go see. It's beautiful, it's fun, it's warm-hearted, and it's really, really great.
Yes, and I agree with everything Chasing said. I think that, it may not have been my favorite Disney film, but that does not take anything away from this movie. This is something that once it's available, I'm going to have this playing in the background on my TV over and over and over again, just enjoying little moments here and there because it's just a fun, great movie. Like, I'm never going to play Fury again. That will not be in the background just playing. But I enjoyed Fury. It was cool. But Big Hero 6, I love the end. If you haven't seen Big Hero 6, there is an end credit, Marvel-esque scene. Stay for that. It's Stan Lee. That's all I'm going to say. It's so much fun. And I don't see you disappointed with Big Hero 6.
And I'm just excited to see Big Hero 6, all of them return for a sequel. I can't wait.
Yes, sir. All right, let's get into Interstellar.
Here we are. So Interstellar, Christopher Nolan, a very, very popular director nowadays who has given people brainy films that really challenge our intellect, but also give us incredible superhero movies, i.e. Batman, and movies that have a look that really, really put people in awe. However, he is now challenging outer space, the sci-fi genre, which is making a very solid comeback. Even Big Hero 6 I would classify as part sci-fi. The sci-fi genre is really kind of coming back alive, and now Christopher Nolan is challenging it after Alfonso Cuarón tackled it last year with Gravity, which walked away with a handful of Oscars more than any other movie, which was incredible and beyond belief looking. Now, Christopher Nolan says, all right, I want a shot, and he takes on this Interstellar movie that is probably one of the most anticipated films of the year, and follows Matthew McConaughey, who plays a character named Cooper, who's a former NASA pilot who has chosen to join a group of explorers to partake in an interstellar voyage that will save humanity. Sir, why don't you tell us what you thought of Interstellar?
Wow, holy crap. Okay, Interstellar, awesome! I loved this movie. Okay,
listening with earphones probably went deaf right there.
I'll just first say this. Did I like it better than Inception? Now that I've waited a couple days, I've only seen it once. I will watch it again. I'm going to probably say no. I didn't like it better than Inception. Again, that doesn't take anything away from Interstellar. And let me explain to you this too. I'm not even going to front like a lot of people and act like I understood the movie. There was a lot of concepts in there. The theory of relativity, the fourth dimension, fifth dimension, parallel universes. A lot of it for me was it was a lot for me. Because Chasing, there's so many people now that act like they understand the fourth dimension.
I was going to explain that. Before we get into that, I feel like people really feel like they need to understand something, and understand a plot and say, "Oh, I got that movie. I understood what Inception was saying, and I understood everything that happened." And same thing with Interstellar. I honestly, personally believe that sometimes movies aren't even possible to figure out. Granted, I'm not saying that there is no A, B, C, or D, but as in life, not everything makes sense. Not everything has to be A, B, C, or D, and we're not going to understand it all. And to me, I feel like this movie in particular isn't trying to say, hey, figure out how I got here, figure out this, and that, instead of rather just listening to what I'm trying to say with it. So, I mean, there, of course, are people who say they got it and they understood it one time watching. Same thing with Inception. I don't bother necessarily arguing that, but I guarantee that a conversation could kind of uphold that where I'm saying, maybe you don't. But, people... some people, I'm sure there are maybe a handful of people that maybe got it, but I don't even know that because, honestly, I watched the movie. Did I understand everything? Can I point you A, B, C, or D or what happened and why it happened? No, and I'll be totally honest with you with that. But again, I don't think that's what Christopher Nolan wanted your attention. Of course, he wants you to pay attention to the plot, but what he's saying was bigger than just how we got from A to B. So I just wanted to point that out on my opinion on that. So
love it. Okay, so now that it's been a few days, I've talked to my sister who does genuinely before all this understands this or understands a good amount for it to explain
elements
to me.
Of it, yeah.
Yes. Man, this movie's smart. Man, I love it. Okay, so I love the fact that I don't even know where to start because there's so much. Okay, so I guess I'll talk about the characters real quick. Matthew McConaughey, yep, not gonna let you down. He did his part. And Matthew McConaughey is just an actor right now that is on fire. He's respected. True Detective really put him over. Then he won the Oscar for which film, Chasing?
He won the Dallas Buyers Club.
Dallas Buyers Club. Thank you. Keep on forgetting that. So Matthew McConaughey's character is awesome. There's elements of this movie that we're going to talk about on the negatives as soon as we're done with the positives, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. But overall, Matthew McConaughey was awesome. I liked Anne Hathaway's character. Honestly, I did. I know a lot of people found her annoying, but maybe it's because I just like Anne Hathaway. I didn't care about it. And Michael Caine was great. We had a special appearance. This is a spoiler review, obviously. We had a special appearance from Matt Damon. I didn't see that. I didn't see the twist with Michael Caine's character, Alfred, either. Or Alfred, I'm sorry. But Michael Caine, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
And so the acting, Jessica Chastain as Jessica Chastain's Murph and the younger Murph, I liked all the characters. I don't think any of the problems is with the movie characters, the actors doing what they do at their best. I don't think that at all. If I had to say the negative part is I think people are going to get lost at exactly what you just said. I think people like me want to understand this movie will get lost if you – I mean, I don't even consider myself an idiot per se, but there's things going on in this movie that you can act like you understand it, but did you really understand it or you just act like you understand it? So, but overall, Interstellar, awesome. If you're going to watch it, find out what the biggest screen is available. If you have to drive maybe an hour to get to that theater, hey, do it because there's one of the worlds that we visit has a tidal wave. There's it's all water. It's only 3 feet of water, and then there's these huge tidal waves. Man, if you could see, I didn't see it on a huge screen, which I want to this next time. But overall, man, Interstellar, thumbs up. Hans Zimmer, I love what he does for Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight. I love what he did with Inception. I love what he's doing with Man of Steel score. I love the fact that he's doing Batman v Superman, and I love all the organs that he had trumpeting throughout the score of Interstellar.
Yeah. First thing I am going to say is that you do need to watch this movie on the biggest screen possible because when you see something like Interstellar, granted, I hope most of you guys didn't just read my star review and then say, oh, that's what he thinks about it. Because, I hope you read those reviews because I say a lot about them. And what I say is Interstellar is a monumental picture. And it will be, I think it is right now. But, when we're looking back at this, when kids are 20 years from now are watching our introduction to film and in language of film and watching films, as I watched 2001, kids will watch Interstellar because it is riveting, it is ambitious, and it is one of the most visual, spectacular marvels of this century. You cannot deny what Christopher Nolan did with this movie and how he was able to bring millions and millions and millions of people to space visually through a screen. I will never, and I can never take that away from Chris Nolan. The aspect of just going into space and going through a black hole, looking at these planets, as James said, one of my favorite parts of the movie is when they're on this planet when it's just water, and this wave literally climbs 50 some odd, not even 50,
amazing,
even higher than 50 feet.
Amazing.
It is astonishing. My jaw was on the floor. I had to pick it up while watching this movie. It is
chasing real quick. That part. It's like if you're in a big screen too, and then when the ship is on top of the water and you're sliding down like a roller coaster. Come on.
And if you see it in IMAX, your seats are going to be shaking. So to me it was. To me I felt like I was in a 3D interactive ride at some points, and it was just so compelling. My negative criticism of Interstellar is just that I had more problems with some of the characters and their relationships and an emotional connection. But before I get into that, I really just want to say, to me, as a moviegoer, as a movie lover, as someone who has dedicated their world to movies, it honestly made me emotional watching this movie because of how lucky I feel to watch something this amazing, to watch something this phenomenal in my lifetime and say, I remember when that movie came out and I saw it in theaters. I'm going to be able to say that one day. And I know people will still be talking about Interstellar 20, 30, 40 years from now.
Yeah, Interstellar was... Let's talk about the worlds and some negative gripes. Okay, I'll go first. Okay. Okay, what did I have problems with? Okay, one thing that some people have been having problems with is the length of the movie. For me, nope, give me another hour, I'm good.
No, the length... I honestly felt that movie... and I even drank a tea 10 minutes in, and to me, I still granted I had to go to the bathroom. I still didn't even really look at my watch. I was so into this movie. I totally agree that was not a problem with this movie.
Okay, Casey Affleck's character, he went from when we meet him again and he's older with his wife, and he's so I don't know what happened with him. That seemed odd. Oh, and Topher Grace did not annoy me, which he normally does. Want to throw that off there real quick. He did not annoy me. But Casey Affleck chasing, what was up with did you feel that was the hatred toward his sister did you feel that was right?
As I said, a lot of my problems with the movie are with some of the characters and their relationships and their development, and I thought that was the most inconsistent character of them all. Okay. We have this character who, again, this is a semi-spoiler review. We'll probably get into heavy spoilers in a little bit. But this is a character who is constantly trying to reach out to his father, who shows his dad that his baby is born.
Yes.
And all these things, and seems really to love. However, I guess there's a point in time where we're just having kind of hearing through Jessica Chastain's character and other characters that he has given up on his dad. Dad's not coming home. And his son passes away. His son dies from the Dust Bowl crop, all this insanely crazy thing going on Earth. However, to me, that doesn't make sense. That part makes sense, but to me, his resulting character doesn't make sense to me. The fact that his son had died and it tragically changed him, which I totally understand. But to say, my kid who has bad lungs and my wife who has bad lungs and I are not leaving because for whatever reason, because there's a graveyard in your back plot where your other son is, to me makes no sense. to someone, for a person to lose a child and say it's okay to lose another one because I lost my, it just, to me, it didn't make sense. And the way his character acted and his look, I felt he was in a total different movie. I mean, there were scenes when he's watching the fire with a bandana over his face where he looked like he was in like a psycho killer movie. And I was just like, what is happening? And then after, after, spoiler alert, kind of, after Jessica Chastain burns his crops and moves his family out of this house, well, attempts to, because they're in the truck, and he gets there and he finally gets to see Jessica Chastain. She hugs him and nothing happens from him. And to me, that just didn't even add up. I was like, if you're so heart set on the fact that your dad isn't coming home and your sister, who you think is crazy already, says dad's coming home, why would you not react in such a negative, psychotic manner like how you've been? I mean, he hit her coworker for saying, we need to get your family out of here, they're in danger. To me, it just, that was one major problem I had.
No, she just burned down the farm.
Yeah, she burned down all their crops.
And he comes back. I thought he was going to knock her out.
As soon as she walked up to him, right? So did I.
And then they weren't consistent because he's already crazy. Yeah. And I was like, okay, she's done, dude. And then it says she just puts a hug.
Yeah. No, I honestly thought what was going to happen is she was going to go up to him, she was going to hug him, he was just going to give her the most cynical look, and then honestly almost kill her. I totally agree with you. That was just so odd, and like for someone to say, dad's never coming back, and don't do this, and is at that point to just say, okay, dad's coming back, I forgive you, to me it was just so like, what just happened? But granted, as heavy as me and James are talking about this, it's such a little part of the movie, but still,
yeah, it's 5 minutes. It's 5 minutes.
It literally is, but still, it was just so weird. But anyway, but that is definitely a negative criticism.
Okay, this is a negative criticism because of confusion, but I feel people are going to get confused in the bookshelf scene.
I think people will too, but I mean, I don't think that'll stop people from liking it or disliking it, in my opinion.
I don't think it's going to do that, but I think, okay, tell me if you think I'm reaching when I say this. I think a lot of the reviews are coming out because this is not a Christopher Nolan film normal rating. Dark Knight is like at like 90 something percent.
Mm-hmm. And this is probably one of his lowest rated movies.
But I think the reason why is because this movie is so quote unquote smart and so sophisticated, if I could say that, yeah, that people are getting confused, like me. But I'm not rating it down. I'm just saying I feel people are. It's so sophisticated that people are getting confused. But they have to say at the end, that was probably the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in the history of mankind, history for all good and love the universe. But I'm confused, so they just say, "Yeah, it's not a perfect movie, but okay, lower it." I feel that way. People are getting confused, and they're not really embracing what this movie is, which is a mind-bending, freak, smart, sophisticated, sexy, beast model movie.
No, like I understand that, but I think I honestly think I kind of have to disagree. I do think that this movie might not be, like we said in the beginning, is a movie that people are going to necessarily understand right off the bat. However, let's look at a movie that he did already that is brainy and sophisticated and not necessarily easy for anyone to digest. Because, I mean, I'm sure anyone who watched Inception in one shot was like, I get it all. Because I have people who tell me that, and then they don't even, like, I'm like, oh, well, it's kind of weird that the ending is about, someone, and they're like, oh, wait, that's not even their totem, and they already don't know, like, what the main part of the movie is. So to me, like, Inception is at an 86%. And the reason why is, I think, because of the one problem that I liked about Inception is because I actually cared what was going on with Leo. I was so involved in their relationship with him and, oh my God, I can't believe I'm spacing her name.
Maria Courtiard.
Yeah, Courtiard. Yeah, thank you. And like, I was so involved in their characters, I was emotionally invested. There's such beautiful moments that they share in that movie. However, I think most critics are giving this movie negatively, not because so much the story, because I think not necessarily like me, but I feel like most critics are saying, okay, like that's the story. We might not, and some of them might believe that they understood it. Some of them might just understand that we probably won't understand it unless we like take a class. But I feel like the real problem was within the characters and their emotional, Leonardo and Marianne Cotillard were so developed and so established. Whereas I felt that even though Matthew McConaughey and Murph have a wonderful relationship. It isn't really well developed. It really is kind of light where, he's with them, he hangs out with her, he defends her, and she cries when he leaves. Like, it's really not that depthful. And I think that was a major problem for me as far as all the characters. I feel like they were very, and granted, when someone tackles the things that Christopher Nolan must have tackled to make this movie, especially the parts in space,
they had a real physicist, dude.
Yeah. I mean, I understand how moments like that can get overlooked. And in my opinion, and I don't like saying it because it comes off a way that I don't want to say, but it felt like with some of the characters, it would seem that he took shortcuts with his writing and development of characters. I'm not saying he took shortcuts to do it and avoid work, because he was so busy already with everything he was tackling. But I felt that those characters were like I said in my review, on space it's a near masterpiece, if not. I mean, in space it is a masterpiece, but on Earth, the characters and everyone, it's kind of just a little bit above par, if not par movie. And to me, I really, really happened with the characters. For me not to cry in a movie says something really, really, really crazy, because I'm a big sap, and it really doesn't take much for me to get emotionally connected. But there was one scene in particular that I thought was really beautiful and really sad and really emotional, and that's when Matthew McConaughey returns from a planet and is watching these videos. And I thought that was a really great moment, and probably the reason why I think Matthew McConaughey did a solid performance, though I don't think it was anywhere near as good as his performance was in Dallas Buyers Club. I felt everyone did a good job, but it just didn't feel like, the movie had a focus, and it wasn't on characters and relationships. And that's not necessarily
a bad thing.
Well, it
negative
kind of
thing. It's not a negative thing you're saying.
I mean, it didn't hurt his movie too bad, but I mean, it wasn't to the point where, oh my God, this movie's unbearable. I don't care about any of these characters, because that's not true. But I definitely think that it did affect my enjoyment of the movie because I care about characters. But again, to me, it was so hard. It was much easier to look past because of the phenomenal things we were seeing in space.
What about that one scene? This scene blew my head off too, and it was a small scene when Anne Hathaway, they're on the water world. Anne Hathaway F's up, then they have to stay an extra 2 hours or something.
Yeah, and it ends up being like 23 years.
And then the first scene when we get back to the ship, it's only been 3 hours for them, but that guy's now 27 years older.
Yeah,
that right there for me was like, wow.
To me, like that one, and it's just that one line of dialogue where he says, "I didn't think you were coming back." Like, to me, like I was like, oh my God, like. To me, I thought that was really, really cool, but I really enjoyed a lot of these moments and, traveling through the wormhole and encountering Matt Damon on the second planet. And all of this was just really, really awesome and mind-blowing. I mean, this movie you have to go see, and I know that it seems like I'm protesting against this movie, but I'm totally not. I'm just saying, Interstellar isn't as flawless as, as so many people would like to, or so many people are assuming it will be. It has its problems, but by any means, it does not affect how much of a staple this movie is going to be to science fiction. This movie did something phenomenal, and it has its problems, like most movies, and that's no reason for you not to go see it.
Chasing that scene, back to that scene when 27 years has passed. That's what's scary about that too. That is so life. I'm not trying to get all like sappy on everyone.
That is so life.
That's so life because it just flies.
It really
is. And it's the undertone of the movie of love. This is a love story. This movie's about love, and it just shows that when you have what you have, enjoy it now, because time will fly. And that's scary that he had to stay on there for Earth 27 years. What was 3 hours for them? That's crazy.
Yeah. And to me, it's funny because, as most movie people, like myself do, when you watch something, sometimes you go back to, a movie and you think about something that you heard or you, can associate to a movie quote. And there's a beautiful, beautiful movie quote in a movie that, isn't necessarily well beloved, but I mean, it does have a huge audience, and it's from a movie called Simon Birch. Have you ever seen this movie?
No.
Okay. Simon Birch is a movie. Well, I'm not going to really get into it. I just want to really kind of talk about what it really kind of spoke to me and how it really reminded me of it. He's in the movie, the quote says, "Time is a monster that cannot be reasoned with. It responds like a snail to our impatience and then races like a gazelle when you can't breathe." And to me, that really just kind of came full circle, because though it's talking about appreciating things and how, but it does really have time, because he has moments with his kids and he's spending time with them, and then he thinks that going on this mission, let alone he didn't know that nearly 2 decades were going to pass by him, if not 3. And like, just to think about time that you've lost with somebody, because, when someone passes away, you always kind of wish where those memories would be, and what would have happened. But in a situation like that where time passes you by, you literally see the time that you've missed with them. So I'm sure to watch how old was his son when he first left? I want to say 13, 14, 15?
Give or take.
Yeah, to see him have a child the next time he saw him, and to be, like, to me, that has to be one of the most heart-crushing things in the world. And I think that's why that scene works so well, is just because I think it's an easy scene for us to be like, I couldn't imagine, seeing, a friend, a family member get old in the matter of just a short period of time, and watch them get old and see their life flash before my eyes rather than seeing mine flash before mine, if that makes sense. It's different. It's one way to see my life go quick, but it's different to see someone I love's life go fast and me being stuck in the same place. So to me, that was a really beautiful scene, and probably the best scene in the movie.
Did you feel that the ending was rushed on the part where we finally see old Murph meet with her dad for the first time in like 100 years?
Yeah.
And it was just like, I love you. All right, goodbye. I'm about to die, but I want to be with my kids. Okay. It's like, wait. This whole premise of this film is based on this love.
This relationship.
This relationship, and it's 1 minute.
Yeah. Though I think Ellen Burstyn, who played the older Murph, was, great in her small role. I'm a big fan of Ellen Burstyn. I somewhat agree with you, though, because I felt like, to me, that was kind of the whole thing, is that those relationships weren't necessarily developed. However, to me, that scene wasn't such a huge flag, because I think that moment she says, a parent should never have to watch their kid die. I have my kids here to watch me. You go. To me, just kind of really was really beautiful that she waited her entire life. She didn't, she did amazing things. She had a family, but she literally, her main probably focus on waking up was to see her dad one last time, and to know that she wasn't crazy, and know he would come back. So that's all she needed was to see him. And
okay.
And she saw him. She knew she wasn't crazy. She goes, I knew you'd come back, but now it's my time to go. But I just needed that. And I think at that moment, she was able to let go, because she saw, geez, I'm getting emotional. She was able to let him go.
Is her husband Topher Grace, or that was not even implied?
Oh, honestly, in that room of people, I didn't see Topher Grace, so I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay, I was just curious.
But see, like, to me, that could have been developed more. That could have been established more. See, I could be totally reaching, and you could be right, where it was just kind of like, we'll cut the scene short. But I feel like that was something that they needed to work on and to make more prevalent. And even if, and to really develop those kind of moments. But I do hear you when you say it felt kind of rushed, and then like he jumps into a plane or a jet or a super machine. I don't know.
And then let's jump on that. Let me say this. And then with that final 2 minutes, all of a sudden I'm like, I'm all in. Because,
oh, really?
Yes, because my favorite movie is Titanic. The ending of Titanic. I love it when Rose goes back to Jack. And I felt that way again. These two were together for, depending on what world you want to consider it, hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And I liked it where her boyfriend was dead, obviously. She's by herself raising all these new humans on this new colony. And I just felt good. Matthew McConaughey's going there, and he's going to do it with her. Not it, well, maybe that too, but he's going to do that with her now, and they're going to live that life. And how long do you think it'll take him to get there? 3 years?
I have no idea. See, to me, okay. I don't even want to make that jump, because I don't know distance. I don't know how fast that thing could go. I don't know what he's on, because it looks like a plane. It doesn't even look like it looks like they could travel through space on this machine. I don't know. But that's funny, because me and you are on total opposite sides of the spectrum. You didn't dig that part, but you dug the very ending. I dug the first part, but I did not like this part of the movie.
I love it.
To me, though, I know you said like I said, I'm a big sap man. I'm all about love. And I think that theme of the movie being about love, I dug. It was just how it's presented. However, I really had trouble with this part just because I didn't necessarily buy their affection for each other in the first place. I mean, I get that they were workers and they had to go through so much together. Don't get me wrong. I could appreciate the fact that they saw hell together and he could have necessarily sacrificed his life for her by going and leaving her. But to me, like, she was in love with this guy who just so happened to die and now he's coming for, to me, I don't know. To me, I felt that was really felt last minute. I didn't feel like that love relationship was, besides that kiss, I didn't feel like it was very developed. And
no, Chasey, I'm not even saying that he's going there just to pursue her as a wife or anything like that. I think they're like best, like, I think they're just like best friends, not meaning like, they're just like, that's his girl, not lover per se. Just that's him. That's like you and Samantha are bad example because you guys are together. It's like no. Hold on.
I hear what you're saying, and I guess what you could argue is just that he is going back to her because she's the only thing that he knows.
Yes,
because his daughter's gone. You know, his son's I'm assuming gone because he was older than her. So we have to assume that he has nothing else but her.
Yes,
but to me, I did feel like it kind of. It aimed it in a love angle to me. As watching it, I felt that's how they were kind of aiming it towards because there is that moment when they kiss. And to me, that even seemed was like, wait, what? But you could totally argue that. But to me, I don't know, even that whole scene where he's like, all right, I saw you. And then he hops into a plane and then he goes, I felt was still kind of rushed. But I could hear that part out where it's like the only thing that he knows anymore. I hear you there. But to me, I felt the movie directed me towards a love angle.
Got it.
Well, after an hour and 17 minutes, me and James obviously had a lot to talk about, and I think we both can agree that I hope you go see both of these films. Am I right?
Both.
Go see both of them. If you get a chance, which I always hope you do, is go to chasingcinema.com/interstellar and read my review where I go a little bit more in depth on how I feel about this movie, or chasingcinema.com/bighero6. Always check out our YouTube page where me and James talk about movies and review movies as soon as we see them and see sometimes us agree or sometimes clash. Very, very fun. Me and James are also going to be starting some new stuff on our YouTube page as I kind of talked about bits and pieces here in the few podcasts. We're going to be doing some new stuff. So there's always great stuff to come with Chasing Cinema. Mr. Shu, James, my good friend, thank you so much for taking your time.
One more thing that I cannot believe I didn't mention.
Okay.
One of the best parts about Big Hero 6 is the short right before it called Feast.
Yes, Feast is phenomenal. I'm disappointed that I forgot that myself.
When I saw Paperman for the very first time, I said to myself, wow, my official favorite short of all time. Never seen anything better, and up to this day, I still never seen anything better. But I will say Feast is barely below Paperman. And I'm going to say why I'm biased. I just love. I love the idea that these two people met and they get to know each other and possibly fall in love. I love that idea. But Feast, holy crap. The animation is so sexy. It's not 3D. It's not 2D. It's like Paperman technology put into that. I don't know because I'm not that
term, yeah.
But man, it's so beautiful, and I love because my girlfriend got me into a dog, and now we bought a dog for my mom, and I understood everything. I felt so good. And then the best part about Pixar or Disney in general, no dialogue. Just You watch the movie. Talk about that for a second, please.
I really love short films. I have really made it very apparent, especially in the classes that I teach, that short film is unfortunately a very underrated and kind of ignored art. Unless you're a student filmmaker who has to make shorts for class or for projects, shorts don't get the attention that they deserve, but the only people that give that attention to are Disney with these short films that they do before, their movies. And as you said, I have a favorite live action short called The Lunch Date, which is phenomenal and beautiful. But my favorite animated short by far, bar none, is Paperman. That movie is so beautiful and so amazing and so smart and symbolic and deep. But Feast, like you said, is so close to it because though Paperman is about two people who fall in love and met by fate and you know, how it's the use of color in black and white, Feast is a beautiful story about selfless love, about choosing a life for someone that you love to make them happier than yourself. And to me, again, a short that kids are going to watch and just think is funny and cute has a theme so in depth, something that most people today, that a majority of people today can't wrap their mind around, of selfless love, is beautiful beyond reason. Feast was great.
Come on, that Winston, the dog, loves his junk food, loves eating that garbage, and then saw his owner was depressed and said, nope, I'm not going to, if I have to make the sacrifice to no longer eat my spaghetti and my nachos, I will, come on.
It really is beautiful, and it really tackles a wonderful theme. Short film is such a very amazing medium, and the fact that Disney, of all people, I'm so grateful, keeps it alive and present, though most might not know it like that. I mean, it's phenomenal. I'm actually writing a piece about short film right now for the UNLV Rebel Yell, which I also write for. So within the next actually this month, chasing www.unlvrebelyell.com, I'm writing about the huge short film archive we have right here in this city that has over 20,000 shorts that's accessible to pretty much anyone.
Wow.
So yeah, I want to tell people about that because most people don't even know that resource is here. Go check it out. I'll mention it on Twitter and all that fun stuff. Mr. Shu, where can they find you? Where can they find all your stuff?
Best thing possible is probably Twitter, HSUM James, HSUMJAMES, and Chasing Cinema. It is a pleasure.
Sir, it is always a pleasure. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. You have a wonderful day. Everybody, please continue chasing cinema.